morning. Okay, so today I'm going to be cleaning up my backyard, my garden, because it's such a mess. It's been so hot and humid here for so long that I haven't been working in the backyard. It's just, I can't do it. So anyhow, that big beautiful pumpkin vine, the freeloader, was attacked by, of course, squash borers. And so anyhow, I did grow a few squash, and but anyhow, I'm going to harvest them now and rip out the rest of the vine. I'm just going to start cleaning up my garden and then plant more seeds and grow more food. Okay, so I just harvested two. See that? Because the curlicues on the vines were gone. They had gone brown and fell off. There's one left there. I think I will leave it a bit longer because the curlicues on the vine are still very green. And so I'm not going to rip down that vine yet. So I'm going to grab some old veggies there and stuff that's not producing and stuff that's actually dying back and looking pretty bad from all this heat that we had. So I'm not going to throw everything into the compost. I also practice chop and drop. So let me show you how I do that. Okay, so here's some of that old vine that's dying back. So I just chop it up, throw it. And here is an old, one of the little old squash or pumpkins, whatever it was, that isn't going to survive because the vine it's on is dying back. So I'm going to bury this right into the soil and the worms eat this up. Only takes them about 2 weeks to do that. And I don't know if you can see this. This is a lid from one of the compost in place that I have, which I'm not doing this year because we have a opossum in our backyard. I've seen him a few times. He flips the lid off and digs right down in there and eats everything, all the worms and stuff. So it doesn't really bother me that he does that, but what bothers me is it's a big animal and he's just going to knock over my plants, like my tomatoes and stuff like that, and I'm afraid he's just going to like walk right over everything. So I'm not doing any more compost in place, at least not this year. Just chop it up and just leave it right on the soil. Chop and drop. I won't be growing squash next year. I'm pretty sure there's squash borer eggs in these vines. So yeah, I won't be doing any squash. I want to give it my garden a rest. And because every year I've been growing squash. So next year my plan is to just grow fast growing veggies. I want to do that. I want to grow fast growing green veggies and just harvest them, and instead of growing all these vegetables that you have to wait a long time, like months, right? So at the beginning of the year I grew a lot of pak choy and spinach, harvested them and ate them all. And oops, did I just cut one of my flowers? Anyhow. And here's some kale that is still seeding. No, this is not kale. This is broccoli. And this broccoli is seeding, and I'm going to harvest these seeds when they're nice and dry. So I'm going to let that stay. Oh. Okay, so this is the ground cherry plant that I had started from seed, and this is not cherries. These are supposed to be a fruit. So you see these? These are what they look like. They're ground cherries. It's like a fruit with a little bit of like a shell around it, but it's like paper. They're like those Chinese lanterns. And the reason why they're called ground cherries is when they become ripe, they literally drop off and fall to the ground, and that's when you pick them up. That's when you harvest them. So when these start dropping, I'm going to put fabric all around the ground here, around the bottom, and because I don't want them right in the dirty old compost soil. See that? It's ground cherries. And down there is zucchini. Is that zucchini, or is that the yellow squash? Yeah, there's that squash called long neck. So I have a feeling that's what it is, but it does look like yellow zucchini. Anyhow, that's what I'm going to harvest. I've got more growing. See that? Isn't that beautiful? I'm so excited. This is the amaranth plant that I started from seed. Look at that. And this is that pumpkin vine. See that? Goes all the way. Look at that. I keep checking it to make sure it's okay. So far it is. You can see the curlicue down there. When that's brown, I shall harvest it. And this is the spaghetti squash plant. I harvested the 2 spaghetti squash that was hanging there, and I have one left down, right down in there. That's a big guy. Look at that. And as you can see, the curlicue down there is starting to turn brown. See that? Actually, wait a minute. That's my different vine. So this curlicue is already brown, and this is on the same stem just above this guy. So that means this guy is ready to harvest. Okay, so far, this is what I've harvested today. This is the rest of my turnips, and these 2 I had cut the greens off and chop and drop them right back into the garden bed. They're awfully small. They're just the last 2 that I grew in the garden bed. These I grew in a pot, and that's not bad. There's a couple that are small, but anyhow, but in the pot, these greens are still lovely and green, and not too many holes in them, so these I can chop off and boil and eat. And yep, there's those 2 weird squash. I'm not sure what they are. They do look like buttercup. My spaghetti squash, and these 2 yellow zucchinis are long neck squash. That's probably what they are. And a little bit of my dwarf green curly kale seeds. Okay, so all I have are these little white envelopes, and this is for the Russian red kale seeds that I haven't harvested yet, but I will. Most of them are gone. The birds have been eating them. That's fine. I'll let them happen. But I will harvest what I can. And this is for the dwarf green curly kale, which are these. So I'm going to do, they're in this bowl, so I'm just going to do this. And you'll see all the seeds that are falling out. So easy to harvest. My goodness. See all that? Those little dark things? Those are dwarf green curly kale seeds. Russian red kale seeds. I let the birds eat so much of them. They really did. They ate a lot. So I just cut a few stems. Okay. Okay. And all I do is just squeeze them. Okay, and this I will just toss into the garden bed. See that? And if you can see all those black seeds in there. Okay, just hold it like that. This is a heavy ball. There you go. That's a lot of seeds from one plant. So far, I got 2 packets of seeds ready for next year. Okay, so that's it for today. And yeah, I harvested quite a bit today. So it's starting to get warm out. It's getting a bit humid. So I think I'm going to go in and take a break. Anyhow, you guys have a great day.